Hi, friends, welcome back. It's week 7 on our 60-week journey to finding a better way to lose weight. I'm Dr. Andrea Moore, and I'm your host for A Better Way MD TV. Like I said, it's week 7, which means that we have only 53 more weeks to get this done, but that's plenty of time for us. Last week, I talked to you about insulin and how important it was to lower our levels of insulin so that our bodies and brain can recognize that we actually have stored energy to use and don't really need to intake any more energy. Now, there's some other hormones that I want to mention to you. And I like to tell you about the hormones because I think sometimes we think that weight loss is all about just willpower and wanting to do it and a compelling reason. And a lot of it is about the way we think about food, the way we use food, but there's also a hormonal and a neurotransmitter portion of it. And those have to be recognized so that we can continue our weight loss journey. Now, two of the hormones I'm going to talk about today are ghrelin and leptin. Now, ghrelin, think about it as your hunger hormone, or it's the hormone that makes your stomach actually growl. And it is used as a signal to say that you need more energy. Now, it's based in the stomach, and as the stomach expands, the ghrelin's not released as much. As your stomach contracts, you get a bigger release of ghrelin, and it's kind of a signal to your brain, hey, we need some more energy. Leptin is sort of the opposite of it, but it's stored in the adipose, or the fat tissue. And basically, when you get enough fat or enough adipose, leptin is released. It goes to the brain and tells your brain, hey, we've got plenty of energy. No need to go out and find any more energy. So it's kind of a nice balance. The problem, though, is that a lot like insulin, once we get to a certain weight, the leptin doesn't work anymore. You actually get a leptin resistance at the level of the brain. So you're making plenty of leptin, but your brain just can't get it. It just can't recognize that signal. So you lose that ability to know that you are full of energy, which is one of the reasons why sometimes when we've gained weight and we're eating a lot of foods that make us gain weight, that we will feel so much hunger. And like we never feel like we're getting full. It's one of the reasons why, not the only reason. So ghrelin is interesting because it can be affected by a number of things. So ghrelin actually is, the ghrelin receptors are on the greater curve of the stomach, and that's the part that of the stomach that's taken out when you have a partial gastrectomy or a gastric sleeve, and that's one of the reasons why your hunger level goes down so quickly. So the problem with ghrelin, though, is that it's actually activated by decreasing your calories, which is why when you reduce your calories to diet, that's why you do feel so hungry after a while. It's also it's also increased when you're under a lot of stress, a lot like cortisol, and it's also released when you haven't had enough sleep. So it is important to keep your ghrelin levels really as low as you can, and you can do that by getting in adequate amounts of sleep. Now, on down the road, I'm going to give a whole little video on sleep and how to get it and all that good stuff. But for now, what we found is that if you get at least 7.5 hours of sleep, that's going to keep your ghrelin levels from going up. And you see this a lot in people that work swing shift or night shift, and their sleep is all off and they're not getting enough sleep, and the ghrelin levels go up, and that's frequently why you're so hungry if you're on night shift. So those are just two more hormones that I want you to think about. And your action tip this week is to practice getting enough sleep. And yes, I know you don't think you can get 7.5 hours of sleep, but I promise you can. As an OBGYN, I try to make it my goal to get at least 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep every night. So work on that. Figure out what your obstacles are. Like, what's keeping you from sleeping? And see if you can kind of come up with a creative solution to get around that. All right, so you're going to sleep more so that your ghrelin levels go down, and we're going to lose some weight, which will help us to allow leptin to be a signal mechanism again. And this is the other thing I'm going to say. you can stop watching the videos at this point because you have all of the tools that you need to lose weight from a physical standpoint. And let me tell you about what I mean by that. So if you continue to journal, if you use your hunger scale every day, every time you eat, if you limit your meals to 2 to 3 meals a day, and you cut out flour and sugar, I promise you, friends, you will lose all the weight that you want. Now, the problem is that it's really easy to think about those 4 steps, but it's harder to not really to implement them, but to keep going long term. And that's really why I've made this program 60 weeks, because we are going to spend a lot of time concentrating on ways to keep us focused on journaling, not eating flour, sugar, using the hunger scale, and really getting enough sleep and all the other things that you need to do. So that's it for week 7. I hope you all have a great week. I hope you get 7.5 hours of sleep, and keep doing the no flour, no sugar. Keep journaling, keep doing the hunger scale, and you've got this. See you next week.